Okay, so we're going to start off talking about linear pairs. Of course, hopefully, whenever I say the word linear, you hear the key word line. The definition for linear pairs are going to be two, and I'm going to say in parentheses or more, because we can have more than two, angles that form a straight line. Okay, and if these two angles are forming a straight line, hopefully you remember that a straight line is 180 degrees. Okay, so linear pairs are going to be supplementary. Okay, that's the vocabulary term we use for adding to 180. Okay, so looking at the diagram, linear pairs, the angles have to be on the same line in order to be a linear pair. And on this diagram here, this straight line is split into the angles 135 and 45. If I add 135 plus 45, that would give me 180. So this is a straight line, a linear pair. Okay, so to find the missing angles on example A here, okay, I would do 180 minus 33. Okay, and if I subtract these two, 180 minus 33, that's going to give me 147 degrees. So the missing angle here is 147. All right, looking at example B here, again, it's a linear pair. They form a straight line. Okay, so I would do 180 minus 98, and that would give me 82 for the missing angle here. Okay, so those are linear pairs. So now talking about vertical angles. Okay, the definition for vertical angles are angles opposite of each other when two lines intersect. Okay, the key word here for vertical angles, up here with linear pairs, we said they were supplementary. Vertical angles are going to be congruent. Okay, so vertical angles are always congruent. Linear pairs are always supplementary. All right, so looking at the diagram here, I have two lines that intersect here. Okay, when they intersect, they form four angles. Okay, the angles that are opposite of each other, so 75 and 75, those are congruent, and they're vertical angles, okay, because they're on opposite sides of each other. Okay, same thing here on the other two angles. 105 and 105 are congruent. They're vertical angles, opposite of each other. Okay, so looking at our examples here, for example A, 72 degrees is a vertical angle with angle B. Okay, so angle B and 72 are vertical, so that means that angle B is 72 degrees. Okay, I'll come back to A and C in just a minute. Looking at example B here, okay, same thing. 63 and B are vertical angles. So if this angle is 63, B would also be 63. All right, so for angles A and C on example A here, all right, I have a straight line. And we already said that a straight line makes a linear pair. Angle A and 72 here are a linear pair. So 180 minus 72 would give me 108. So angle A is 108, which makes angle C 108. Similar over here on example B, okay, I have a straight line, 63 degrees, and A make a straight line, 180. Or a linear pair. So 180 minus 63 would give me 117. So angle A and angle C are 117 degrees. Moving right along, let's look on the back of the paper now. Okay, what we want to do on the back is classify the angle pairs, determine the relationship of the angles, and find the missing angle. So on the very first example here, I have a straight line. Okay, the straight line makes these two here on the same side a linear pair. So to find angle B, then I would only subtract 180, or I'm sorry, I'm going to do 180 minus 50. So these are a linear pair. 180 minus 50 would give me 130. So angle B is 130. For the second example here, okay, I have these two lines that intersect and the angles are on opposite sides. Don't worry about this third line here. It means nothing to me. Since these are on opposite sides, okay, they're vertical angles. So if this angle is 63, that means that angle B, I'm sorry, not 63, 67. Since this angle is 67, angle B would be 67. So on this next example here, these are vertical angles. All right, I have two lines that intersect and they form angles on the opposite side. So these are vertical. So since this angle is 60, angle B would also be 60. And the last example in this section here is a linear pair. They form a straight line. So 180 minus 44 would give me 136. All right, so looking at the next group of problems here, okay, we're going to solve for x. First, we're going to determine the relationship. So between these two angles here, all right, they are on opposite sides of each other, so that makes them vertical angles. And we know that vertical angles are congruent. Okay, and we remember that the word congruent does mean equal. Okay, so if this angle is 67, I know this angle down here is 67, but I want to solve for x. So I say 3x plus 1 is going to be equal to 67. Okay, and then all I have to do is solve for x. So subtract 1, 3x is equal to 66. I divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals to 22. All right, the next pair here, we form a straight line. So these are a linear pair. And when they're linear, we know that they are supplementary. So the two angles add together to equal to 180. So 2x plus 10 plus 102 is equal to 180. I'm going to combine my like terms here. 10 plus 102 gives me 112. 2x plus 112 is equal to 180. To solve for x, I'm going to subtract 112 from both sides. I get 2x is equal to 68. Divide by 2, and x is equal to 34. Okay, the next example is also a linear pair. And again, we know that a linear pair are supplementary. So to set this problem up, I'm going to say x minus 2 plus 6x is equal to 180. Combine like terms, x plus 6x gives me 7x. Minus 2 equals 180. Add 2 to both sides. 7x would be equal to 182. Divide both sides by 7, and I get x is equal to 26. The last example here, these two angles are vertical angles. And we know that vertical angles are congruent. So I would say 4x plus 3 is equal to 83. Subtract 3 from both sides. 4x would then be equal to 80. Divide both sides by 4, and x is 20. And that is linear pairs and vertical angles.